All right, let's talk about a really powerful concept. Building wealth that actually works for you so you don't have to. I'm talking about wealth that keeps earning even when you're not on the clock. So let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. If your paycheck just stopped tomorrow, what would happen? How long could you last? A few weeks? Maybe a couple of months? For most people, that clock is ticking, and it's ticking pretty fast. But for the truly wealthy, it's like the clock doesn't even exist. So how on earth is that possible?
Well, the secret isn't some new age financial trick. It's actually a 500-year-old strategy from a guy named Machiavelli. See, he argued that victory doesn't go to the person who just fights the hardest. No, it goes to the person who strategically builds their fortress before the first arrow is even fired. And that right there, that is the absolute key to building wealth that lasts. So here's our game plan. We're going to break down this Machiavellian approach. We'll look at the invisible but incredibly strong fortresses of ideas and identity. Then we'll see how you can build entire systems and universes. And finally, we'll uncover what it really means to create a true empire of ownership, revealing the crucial difference between being a laborer and being a ruler. Okay, let's dive into the first principle. And just a heads up, this is a fundamental mindset shift about how real money is made. The core idea is simple, but it's everything. Lasting wealth isn't about trading more of your hours for more dollars. It's about building assets, systems, these financial fortresses that generate income whether you're asleep, on vacation, or working on your next big thing. Just imagine creating something once that pays you for years or even decades to come. So what do these fortresses actually look like in the real world? Well, the first kind are maybe the most powerful because you can't even see them. They're built out of pure ideas and identity. Let's start with James Dyson. He was just a guy who was completely fed up with vacuums that, just didn't work well. So he decided he was going to invent a solution himself from the ground up. And let me tell you, this was a battle. It took him over 5,000 prototypes to get his cyclonic technology right. But here's the thing. His real genius wasn't just building a better machine. So where did the real empire come from? It wasn't from selling vacuums one by one. It was built on the hundreds of patents he filed. You see, those patents gave him legal ownership of the idea itself. So any competitor who wanted to use similar tech, they had to pay him royalties. This is pure Machiavelli. You don't have to fight every battle with your own sword. If you own the design of the weapon, everyone else will pay you just for the privilege of stepping onto the battlefield. But these assets aren't just about physical inventions. Sometimes the fortress is hidden inside a melody. Think about it. Mariah Carey recorded this song way back in 1994, and every single year, like clockwork, it comes back and completely dominates the radio, the stores, the playlist, generating millions in royalties. She basically owns a piece of a cultural tradition. It's a fortress that literally rebuilds itself every single holiday season. Now, you might be thinking, great, but I'm not a famous inventor or a pop star. Well, you don't have to be. The digital world has thrown the gates wide open for everyone. Ebooks, online courses, software. You can create these things one time and sell them an infinite number of times with zero cost to reproduce. An entrepreneur named Russell Brunson made a simple downloadable book that has been a steady income stream for over a decade. It's a perfect modern example of Machiavelli's warning. A ruler should never be dependent on others. Sometimes the most powerful asset isn't a complex product at all. Sometimes it's just a simple, unforgettable piece of identity. Think about Michael Buffer, the boxing announcer. He's known for just one iconic line. He didn't build a single factory. He didn't manage a huge team. His entire massive fortress was built around just these 5 simple words. And what a fortress it is. By trademarking that one phrase, Michael Buffer turned it into an asset worth over $400 million. One simple legal move gave him total ownership. Video games, movies, ads. If they want to use that phrase, they have to pay the king. Just like Machiavelli knew, a reputation is invisible, but it can be more valuable than an entire army. A trademark can last for generations, long after a soldier has retired. Okay, so let's scale this idea up. The next level is about moving from owning a single idea to owning an entire ecosystem, a whole universe. And the master of this is, without a doubt, George Lucas. He didn't just direct a few movies, he created an entire universe. And yeah, the films made billions, but the real lasting empire, that came from licensing. He let other companies make the toys, the video games, the lunchboxes. They did all the work while he kept control and got a cut of everything. This is such a brilliant illustration of the lesson.
It is so much better to own the entire battlefield than to just be the strongest soldier fighting on it. You know, Ray Kroc applied this exact same thinking when he transformed McDonald's. His genius wasn't in cooking a better burger. It was in creating a perfect, repeatable system that basically anyone could operate. Then he licensed that system to franchisees. In Machiavellian terms, he didn't try to rule every province himself. He installed loyal governors who would rule in his name and pay him for the privilege. But he didn't stop there.
And this is the part that blows most people's minds. McDonald's is not in the food business. Not really. They're in the real estate business. The corporation bought the land where the restaurants were built and then leased it back to the franchisees. The burgers might make the franchisees some money, sure, but the rent check, that flows directly to the throne. The lesson is timeless. Someone else works in the kitchen, but the landowner always gets paid. And this brings us to the ultimate fortress. This is the most passive form of wealth there is. An empire built on pure, unadulterated ownership, where other people do all the work. I mean, just look at the master, Warren Buffett. His fortune wasn't built on a bunch of frantic day trading. It was built by becoming an owner. He bought shares in Coca-Cola decades ago and has held them ever since. Today, he earns hundreds of millions of dollars every single year just in dividends. He doesn't run the factories, he doesn't manage a single employee. He simply owns a piece of the empire, and the profits flow to him like a tax from a loyal province. Now, if dividend investing is for the established kings, then private equity, well, that's the game of bold princes. Peter Thiel's early bet on Facebook turned $500,000 into billions. Naval Ravikant did the same thing with Uber and Twitter. Shaquille O'Neal has made way more money from his business investments than his entire legendary basketball career. Machiavelli said that fortune has to be conquered with audacity. This is that idea in action, taking calculated risks on unseen opportunities to forge wealth that can last for generations. So after looking at all of these different fortresses, it really all comes down to one powerful, final idea. It all boils down to this choice. A laborer is a gear in the machine, trading their precious time for money. They're a soldier fighting hard on the battlefield. The ruler, on the other hand, doesn't just fight. They build the machine. They own the entire battlefield. One is forever dependent on their own effort. The other builds a domain where value just flows to them automatically. And that leaves us with one final question for you. The strategies are all out there: patents, royalties, digital products, franchises, real estate, ownership. The tools are all around us. So the real question is, are you spending all your energy working for today's paycheck, or are you strategically building a fortress that will secure your tomorrow?